available afterwards. We're recording this webinar.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Yes. So welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to see how many people have joined. And when we talked about doing this webinar, it was, I think, last year, October, for the first time. I never would have thought we would be in this situation right now. Also, I actually didn't think there would be so many people here. So I'm really happy to see you all here. And having fun online has become a whole different concept since everything happening in the last couple of months. Becoming actually even more important, I think. So I have the pleasure of looking at having fun in online meetings with you for the coming hour. And before I introduce myself, I would like to ask you, maybe you can share a little bit with us first. What is one thing that you have done yourself, maybe as a participant or maybe as a facilitator, trainer, coach, one thing you have done in an online meeting that was fun? And if you would share in the chat and send to all panelists and attendees, so your fellow participants can see some ideas.
Wow, we have online polling, drinking, Pictionary. Wow, Miro, Mentimeter, using nickname, brainstorming, campfire meeting, oh my God, playing games, drawing, smoking, singing. Wow.
So digital escape room, I saw also, nice.
Yoga. Okay.
Playing cards.
And I'm sorry, I didn't read even half of that because the pace was absolutely.
Yeah, it goes crazy. I saw Zumba also.
Taking turns into singing, sharing stories, confessions.
Yeah, let's see if we can have some confessions today here. Yeah, so wow, I see that many of you already have some experience with having
I have to read it. I'm sorry. I found one that is amazing. Head massage using the gallery.
Okay.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I see somebody say,
Yeah, you know, that's why I'm commenting. Yeah, that's kind of, you know,
yeah.
Very intriguing. Celebrating birthday. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I see that many of you have experience with it, and I think the last couple of months already had a big impact also on more of us really trying to explore how to have fun in online meetings. So we'll talk a little bit about that in more details later. Just to introduce myself first. So my name is Wouters. I'm originally from Belgium. But 15 years ago, I moved to the Netherlands and I'm now living north of Amsterdam, so Belgium living in the Netherlands, talking about cultural differences, very close distance, but very big cultural difference. I'm an organizational psychologist. I really like to use the science of the brain. How does our brain work and how can we best learn, how can we use that knowledge to have a good learning practice. And you see here also on the picture, I like to use mindfulness exercises, also experiential exercises, not to only have the theory but also experience myself or have my participants experience what we're talking about, what we're teaching. So the experience is nearly as important as the theory, of course, or maybe even more. I'll leave that up to you. I have my own company, which is called OMG. It's not oh my God, it could be, but actually it's a Dutch abbreviation for tailor-made. And it means I basically tailor make my training and coaching for my participants, for my customers. And I'd like to develop, for example, games to do that, also in a face-to-face setting, but obviously also a lot online. Yeah, good name, I'll never forget it. Thank you, Nikki. Yes, and for the Dutch speaking, yes, op maat gemaakt, actually, not gedaan, maar op maat gemaakt. So I hear a lot from my customers, yes, that they won't easily forget the name. So it's nice that it makes people think of, oh my God. The foundation of the things that I do for me lies all in psychological safety. And the reason I find it so important is one theory that I really like, is based also on, well, part of positive psychology, is by Barbara Fredrickson. And basically she says, whenever we feel a positive emotion, our brain structure widens, the options in our brain widen, and we create new thoughts, new activities, and start new relationships. And when we do that, we basically gain more knowledge, we gain more resilience, skills, relationships, which leads to actually better health and even more meaning in our lives, and what I like to call more superpower. And that in return makes a spiral of positive emotions, because that makes us feel well, and again leads to new thoughts. So this theory basically says that when we feel positive, when we feel safe, when we feel comfortable, we're able to learn and to gather new thoughts. So thinking about that psychological safety and how we can build that and how we can use that in order for our participants to learn, but also for ourselves as a facilitator, I like to use the map of psychological safety. And I'll just lead you through this map quickly, just as a basis for why do we want to have fun online. So basically, if you look at this map, if you would be on the mainland, you would feel safe, you could feel very comfortable. Whereas whenever you're on an icefall, it might feel uncomfortable, a bit wobbly, a bit challenged maybe. It's actually a place where you experience new things, but also a place where you can be successful. So going a little bit out of your comfort zone, and it can feel many different things. People can find it uncomfortable, but some people might find it exciting. It basically just means a little bit outside of your comfort zone. When you go too far out of your comfort zone, however, you end up in the water where you feel overwhelmed. And basically that brain structure, instead of widening, a lot of functions are shut down. So your creativity decreases, you're more forgetful, your performance decreases. So this is the place where you are when you lose your keys for the third time that day, or maybe bump your toe onto the chair. And this is a place where it's very, very difficult to learn new things. So I see you'd be checking for bears, for polar bears on the mainland. Yes, that's possible too. But the idea is with the map to think about where are my participants and how can I make sure that they're in a place where they can learn. So in order to get them on that icefall, think about what do they need and what is helpful there. So this is really a way that we can use to think about how can we make sure that our participants in our online training actually can learn something, and obviously also in our meetings. So just thinking about how then can we create fun in meetings. So I listed here a couple of things that we can do to have fun in meetings, and I would like to explore these together with you. So I would like to ask you to open up your annotation tools and simply put a star on the picture that you think you know what that is about.
If anybody has difficulty in finding annotation options,
I see a couple of people raise their hands.
Raise your hands, yeah. So no annotation tools. So only we. Where that was our question. If only we can annotate. Well, we do. That's what we with Lise were following, that we we can annotate, and this is okay. So let's go let's go with other option. Let's just go with in chat, which drawing.
Well, that's okay. They don't have to choose which drawing. It's we'll do it another way. You don't have to use your stamp on the button, but I see somebody says you find it under the button security next to your video. We should be able. Yeah, are you able to do that, Agnieszka?
I am, but I was. That's why I'm kind of because I see a host panelist, so that's why I'm concerned whether we have. Yeah, I know, Joe. Thank you. We have different accesses. I know. That's why I'm not commenting that you can do it, because I see a host. A host panel.
All right, let's do it another way. I'm gonna invite you to look at the pictures. Pick one in your mind that you think you know what it's about, that you think, or maybe that you find very interesting. And I just challenge you, the one who puts in the chat the word fun first, we will ask to share on the picture that they chose. So choose a picture, and the first one that puts, there you go, Nikki. And Nikki, if you can unmute and share, which picture did you choose? Unmute, yeah. So if you go, where can she unmute?
Next on the mic symbol that is on the bottom of your screen. You do not have any panel. Oh, that's kind of extremely.
Well, it's very. That's too bad that I can't hear you. But
I will just do it. Don't worry. I'm just looking which NICU that was. I don't want
Nikki
to make
Webster.
I don't want to make. Okay, Nikki, you're on.
Nikki, can you hear us? And I don't hear Nikki.
Yes.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Houston, we have connection.
Great.
Okay. You want to know which picture I chose?
Yes.
The three old people in the bottom right-hand corner.
Okay. And what do you think it's about? How can we have fun? What does it make you think of?
Well, for older people, because I mean, a lot of these games are, they're great, and they're for younger people who are used to gamification. So I'm also I'm slightly older. So I like that picture because for me, that would be, what plans do you have when you retire?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it could be something like that. So that made me think of, what I'm looking forward to already.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing, Nikki. Okay. So let's have a look what I had in mind when I chose the picture. So the picture for me was about, let's see, celebrating occasions. For example, if you're on a meeting, in a team meeting or participant meeting, somebody has a birthday or somebody is in the company for a number of years, any kind of types of celebration that you could celebrate also when you are meeting face to face, to really take that sort of the party online. And I've on a couple of occasions, we have with a group of people sung happy birthday online together. That's horrifying. It never goes on the same pace, but still a very nice experience and also a way to have fun. All right. Yeah, I see some people thinking now about retiring. Let's not go there. Yeah. So let's try this again. First one, to put fun in the chat box. There you go. I have Nina Tsiatsko.
Nina. Yes, yes. Let me just, it takes time to scroll through all the names.
Yes,
but we are there.
Nina.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The first picture I saw was a good job, because I think that gratification can also be done online. So for example, if someone made a good presentation or simply did a good job, that you do not wait to see him face to face until you tell him or her that he simply had a very good success in his task, fulfilling his task.
Yeah. So sort of rewarding somebody for a job well done. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing, Nina.
And if you want to know something about the head massage, that was me.
Was that you? Yeah.
You know, when you have the gallery where you see all the pictures of the people, then you can do as if you would make a head massage to the person underneath you.
Yeah.
Very funny. With hundreds of people and
yeah. So sort of the illusion, creating the illusion. Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure many people were curious about what that was.
I guess so.
Yeah, I see already a reaction, loving it. Great. Thank you for sharing, Nina.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so actually, absolutely. The picture of the good job was about also telling people that they did a good job, but also having a little bit of fun sometimes with sharing some prizes we can do depending on the crowd that we're in. I love, for example, sometimes giving the advantage of giving virtual prizes that they don't cost anything. You can give a cruise and you don't have to have a cruise budget in your training. So so just thinking about some fun ways to reward people for a presentation or for a contribution or yeah. So a big Ferrari for you, Nina, for participating. Thank you. So let's do another one. Alexandra. Do you see it, Agnieszka? The Brady Bunch. Yeah. Alexandra, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I mean, this is already such fun. I'm having such fun with this.
Good to hear. Thank you, Alexandra.
So great. So I picked the picture in the upper left corner, 11 p.m., right? That one. And I would say that is a movement and dance improv. That's what we do in Göttingen. And I'm so happy to see something here.
Good. And what do you do exactly then?
Movement, yeah, you know, like we have a professional dancer in our team, and he is he has created some short movements and interactions online. So it's based on dance improv.
Okay, nice, very nice. Okay, thank you for sharing, Alexander.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so actually it was about movement. And I just want to do a short exercise with you guys. And I'm gonna, I hope that everybody can see my video, can see me on the screen, because I'm gonna do an exercise and I really need you all to participate and to really joining this exercise to really experience it. And I see already in the chat, movement is important. Yes, absolutely. I'm just gonna stand up for a second. And if you can, please stand up also. You can try to do it sitting down, but it's better to stand up. And if you have a wired headset like mine, please make sure that you don't plug it out as you're standing up. So I'm going to do an exercise with you, which is called Silineng Qigong. And I don't know if anybody of you is familiar with Silineng Qigong. It's a practice that I actually learned myself. Bless you. Yeah, it's an exercise that I learned from mindfulness expert and clinical psychologist Christopher Germer. He's professor at Harvard University, and or Harvard Medical School, I should say. And he did this exercise with a group of people with us, and he did say, and I'm going to ask for you the same, if you ever repeat the exercise, make sure that you do it with a group of people that are really ready to have such an exercise. But being from SIETAR, I'm sure that many of you have already a lot of experience. So I would invite you.
Ready.
Exactly, yeah. So if you can, please stand up. And the name of the psychologist was Christopher Germer. He's the one who taught me how to do this. And you just stand up and put your both feet firmly on the ground. And you can go with your attention a little bit to your feet first. Really feel how you're standing on the ground. And you can loosen your arms a little bit. And then comes the difficult part. So try to repeat the exercises. And then you go. So I'll do it again. It's quite difficult. So basically, Silly Neng Qigong. I hope you were able to do it.
So it means I did it.
Very good, Agnieszka. Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. That's why.
Tailor-made, that means, right? So you see the Silly Neng Qigong. That was a recorder.
Always to help. Can you repeat that in English? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I hope you joined in. I hope you feel how it felt also, and it's just a little bit of fun. But at the same time, it's also a way really shaking things off, a way to have a little fun and to be a little bit silly, as it says on the screen. And thank you, Annette. Glad that you
just
liked
to
it.
all those people who haven't kind of remembered the name, I've heard it so far like 12 times and I still cannot repeat it, so don't worry, with the 15th time for sure you will be able to.
Yeah, it's basically the practice of the movement is called Zineng Qigong, but we added Silly Neng Qigong because it's a silly exercise. Yeah, if you still have your headphones after it, then you could do it again. Thank you, Mithun. Great. All right, so let's do one more. Let's see, who wants to choose one?
Let me just remind you, the magic word is fun. Whoever writes first, fun, is there. Oh, Nancy.
Great.
And here you go.
Yes, Nancy, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. Oh, those were all such wonderful ideas. But I have to say the one that really attracted my attention after the good job, I liked the good job one, was the dominoes at the bottom left-hand corner. I like that because for me that's it really represents how many different options you have for having everybody involved in an activity, maybe an activity which flows, which they have to sort of follow up on, like kind of like a relay race or anything like that. I think the more people can be involved together, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice to think of that flow. It's actually also, you could also see it as the head massage of the
yes,
thing.
I've actually done something. I haven't done a head massage, but I've had people hold hands with each other the same way that I think it was Nina had said. And everybody laughs at that. They think that's really funny. So it's a great way to loosen it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Nancy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the picture for me was about adding games. So I would like to do a game with all of you. Now is the big quiz to see if you paid attention. So you can get 60 seconds. I'm gonna put the timer on in a minute. And I have 6 things here about me that I shared with you in my introduction. So when the 60 seconds starts, you can all put things in the chat that you know about me and see if you can find all 6 things in 60 seconds. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put the timer on. There you go.
We have original from Belgium. We have psychologist.
We have original from Belgium. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And psychologist. Another one. Oh my God. Ching-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. I see the Netherlands passing by. Another one. Ah, they go so quickly. Wow.
Trainer.
Trainer. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Interest in psychological safety.
Psychological safety.
Coach.
Company.
Fun.
Fun. Ching-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Yay, guys, you did in only 40 seconds. Wow. That I thought I was going to have to count down to get them all, but great, absolutely. Oh, there we go, on pause. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, so obviously this was just about the ease of how you can use a game in any content. And I have to say, I'm not a game developer, and I think being a game developer is a very different expertise, and it's quite difficult to really develop good games. So I try not to develop games. I try to choose games that already exist and just think about how can I bring the content. What app is this game in? This is basically just a PowerPoint, Katarina. I just use the animation tools, the animation tools of PowerPoint to use this. So, so it's not really an app. And I think with animations in PowerPoint, you have already a lot of options to make, for example, puzzles or quizzes or anything related to that. All right, I think we have 3 more. Who wants to go? There you go, Iris.
Iris. Just give me a second. Iris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I like the one in the middle on the left hand side with the training class, then a miracle occurs and then results.
Mm-hmm.
Because very often in training, I feel it's like you make a very good plan and detailed and everything, and then something different happens, and in the end, it's a good thing as well.
Yeah, so then actually a miracle does occur.
Yeah. At least in my trainings, very often miracles happen. So yeah.
Beautiful, very nice. Thank you, Iris. Yeah, so it's a very nice way of interpreting the picture. I like it a lot. The way I use it was simply because I think it's meant as a joke, and I think it's there are many different ways to use a little bit of humor in your meetings, in your presentations, and humor can be sensitive. Obviously, I think many of you are involved with different cultures, and especially within different cultures, it's important to be sensitive. I used here a picture where I used my own picture. I do it sometimes with participants, but only if I know the group really well and if I know that it's okay to do that. But just thinking of ways to use a little bit of humor in your sessions. And I see a nice tip from Nikki on interactive games, different apps. I'll say a little bit more about how you can find games or think about games a little later also. We have 2 more, so if anybody would like to choose one of these 2, if you put fun in the chat. Who would like to share? Sue.
Okay.
There we go. Hi, this is Sue Shinomiya.
Hello.
From Oregon.
Hello, Sue.
Hi. Hey. I like this one at the bottom in the middle with a question mark, idea, an exclamation point. It seems to me that there's a spark, and you've asked the audience a question, or you've asked your participants a question, and they've really come forth. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. That's what.
Oh, yeah, that could
pausing
be a
here.
bit challenging.
Yeah, but anyway, I like the inspiration.
Yeah, the inspiration. Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, and the way that I was thinking about it is what you see on the screen. And for all of you, could you put in the chat, what do you think this is about? Obviously not the text, because then only the Dutch don't mind the text for the Dutch people. It's more about
Whiteboard.
yeah, yeah, using the whiteboard, but also exactly, Andrea, the creativity and the visuals, allowing people in a meeting to be creative, even if you're talking about serious business, adding a little bit of sunshine, the weather forecast, exactly, Martin, as you say, John, the drawing, allowing the creativity in your meeting, even when you're on serious business, can really help people have fun at the same time and also keep their focus and attention on what you're doing. So doodling on a whiteboard, yes.
That's a nice word. April showers bring May flowers.
Yeah, and I think it's also a very important point what you say, Ulfried, is it needs to be authentic and it should match the personality of the facilitator coach. Absolutely. I've met people that will find it very chaotic and they don't like doodling. So yes, it should definitely match with your style and think about but that's with all of these things that we're talking about. So not using anything, but just using what suits best for you. Yeah, people are very creative and they will also remember, absolutely. All right, so we have one last one. And I saw that I saw already before a comment on I'm intrigued by it, but anybody who has some idea who would like to share, put fun in the chat. And so the Easter eggs, any ideas what that's about?
Who would like to share? Oh, Angelika. Hmm?
Go ahead, Angelika.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant ideas so far, what you've spoken about too, and I'm just going to come back to the Easter eggs. It's kind of a cute idea where you sort of you pick two people and get them to be, I wouldn't say the clowns, but get them really involved and activated so that they start inspiring the others. They get an extra hat, they get some extra material, these 2 years, which one has put on top of the eggs so that, they stand out from the rest, and then they start spreading the synergy and the same activity to the other members of the group. That's the way I would do it.
Wow, I love that idea.
And create fun with it, because you can really do a lot of lateral thinking even with these Easter eggs by giving in different tasks, getting the pull, getting the push, and to kind of really get that all the participants involved. Yeah, lovely picture though.
Yeah, yeah, I really love that idea, Angelika. It's yeah.
Thank you.
That's not what I thought when I looked at the picture, but I really love it.
Okay, so.
Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So for me, when I used this picture, was more about using a theme. So, for example, this is a session that I did for Nomadic where we talk about etiquette, and in every session. And around Christmas, we made sort of a Christmas theme of it. But you can do that in all of your meetings. As you put up the Christmas lights in your office, you can put up the Christmas lights in your online meeting, and have a little fun with themes like Easter eggs that are hidden in your session around Easter, or yeah, there are many themes throughout the year that we can use to do that. Yeah, in the film business, the Easter eggs are hidden in the final credits. Yeah.
Okay, there is also a comment on there is an app called Peer Deck where you can do Pictionary style games. Thank you.
Yeah. Repurpose, for example, the egg because characters. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, there's obviously many ways to think about these different pictures, and these are just some thoughts that I shared. And the idea is what I said before is how can we use these different thoughts of how to have fun to be able to help our participants be on that ice floe, not fall in the water or not remain on the mainland, but really get in that place where they can learn. And I think it's very important if you would try one of these tools to also think about where am I? If you think about doing as you said before, it needs to fit your style, but also if you're not that comfortable yet with technology, then don't choose a high-tech way of having fun. Choose something that you don't need a lot of technology for. If you know, for example, your participants are all in a session, in a Zoom session for the very first time, they don't know the tools yet, then that's important to think of, that they don't feel overwhelmed with all the tools. So having fun is basically a way that makes people get them out of their comfort zone, and at the same time, because it's fun and because they enjoy it, because they can relax a bit more if they are in the water, sometimes we can help them this way to get to that ice floe. So what are some elements that can create the sense of fun? I saw in the beginning of the session you all shared your ideas on what you already did in a session that was fun. And I would like to ask you to think back on that activity that you shared, and what is the element in that activity that made it fun? And if you can put that in the chat, please. The unexpected, I see, the surprise, unpredictability, sharing, originality, a different perspective, music.
Laughing, connecting, joking, exploration, connection, sharing.
Seeing a different side of my colleagues, like that too, yeah.
Multiculturalism, humor, cooperation, taking new roles.
Yeah, combining something serious with something fun, yeah. And then, yeah, and then thinking about what part of, what element do you need to have fun? Funny stories, do not take all too serious, relax the atmosphere, seeing things from a different perspective. Yeah, I think that's another very important point then is some cultures have a hard time with silly or fun. You say, for example, referring to Japanese people, it is important to think about how do I frame something. I've actually had a group of people where we talked about having fun in a meeting, and one of the participants said, I don't want to have fun in a meeting because it's serious and I need to get to the point and I only have a limited time, so I don't want to have fun. Even though you can have fun while you're on a task, but then maybe not framing it as fun, but that's important to think about. Yeah, and humor, Nikki, absolutely. As we said before, really with humor especially, you have to be careful about cultural differences. Some people do not like to play games, absolutely. Level of common language is good enough, so nobody feels left out. Yeah, and I see, Sue, you say Japanese people love quiz games. Yeah, but you all know a lot about different cultures. So when you think about these elements, what to include, I'm sure that if you take that into account, what cultures do I have, and what would suit for this particular group, and also what suits with yourself. I'll ask you in a minute what you find most suited. So elements that can create a sense of fun. I saw them all. I think I've seen them all that I've listed here, but psychologist Malone did research on what elements do we need, for example, in a game to be a fun game, and the things they came up with was competition, imagination or fantasy, and curiosity, and humor. And if you have these elements in a game, then research says then you can have a fun activity, or at least you need some of these elements to do that. Personal connection also, I also saw that coming back in a couple of your chats. So I'm sure that we can think of a couple of more elements. And I see from Sue need to think about their culture, but also how you have set it up. Yeah, needs to go with mindset, goals, and expectations. Yeah, and depending on what is the purpose of your meeting, surprise would fit to the list, I see. Yes, I think surprise also matches a little bit with curiosity, but absolutely surprise, we could add that to the list. And depending on what group you have, what the expectation is, what the goal is, you might think of a serious activity making it a little bit fun, or actually doing an icebreaker where it's only for the fun and to build trust, and yeah, to do that. So when you know which element you want to add, think about how you do that. And what I think is the most important step, if you're going to have fun online, you think of which element can you use to create some fun, and then think about how can I benefit from the online environment. I think a lot of times we think about how do we compensate that we don't see each other, or maybe we can see each other but that we're not in the same room together. But it's not only compensating that we're not in the same room. Online environments can really add value to our sessions. I mean, look at this today. We are with almost 200 people from all over the world inside one session. The online environment it can really bring us things that would not be so easy to do in a face-to-face setting. If you think about, for example, asking you all what elements and seeing all of your answers in such a quick way on the chat, that's something we won't be able to do if you would be in a room together. You wouldn't all be able to share. So when you found that element that you want to add, think about which features does my online environment have? Am I using Zoom or WebEx or MS Teams or whatever? How can I benefit from this?
Mm-hmm.
So can we do a poll, Agnieszka?
Yes, we can, of course. I would just mention that there was Dennis's comment on competition, and I'm very much agreeing with that. That sometimes when you put a game and the competition is not clear who wins, then it's a trick to get people out of the game because they're still with who's won and tell us, yeah? So yeah. There are all those elements that are kind of tricky. Okay, so I've just talked you through me preparing the
very good
the polling.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends. You can use cooperation rather than competition, but in some groups it can be okay and some groups not. So you see now a poll on your screen, and the question is, which one of these activities or ways of creating fun would you like to use in your own online meeting or session or training session? So let's see. You can choose one, or you can choose more than one, whatever you want to add. And let's see what you would like to do.
So we have 50% people voted already.
Yeah.
And the number is growing.
70% have voted already. Great. Very good to see you guys also active. And almost 80% of you voted, so we're almost there. Yeah, there's still some, I think there's...
Although I think the trend is not changing. I mean, I think it will stick the way it's already.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can see the winner.
All right, so we're gonna close the vote in a couple of seconds. So if you still would like to vote, please fill it in. And Lutz, yes, we do use the Zoom tool for polling. You can use different polls outside of Zoom also, but this is the polling from Zoom that we used.
Okay.
All right, so you finished it. Can you share the results, Agnieszka?
Yes, I did. Hopefully you can see them. Do you see the results, guys?
I see. Yes. Okay, great. Okay. And Catherine raised her hand. Could you maybe unmute, Catherine?
Yes, just give me a second. Do we have only one Catherine so that I'm not...
And I see from the votes, gaming elements like a quiz are number 1. And then using the annotation tools on number 2.
Okay, Catherine.
Hello, that actually wasn't me, so it was a different Catherine.
Oh.
Yeah, so maybe if you could have the other Catherine raise her hand. That might be a way to identify her.
I just so quickly jumped into Catherine that I'm trying to find another one that I'm not seeing. Or maybe it's with K. That's I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's nice to see that all of them are exercises that at least some of you would like to try out. And as I said, from gaming elements, you don't have to make it too difficult for yourself. Just choose some games that are already out there and that you can simply use. Do you have the right Catherine in the meanwhile, Agnieszka? Or?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Catherine, are you with us?
Hello?
Yes? Oh, no. Okay. Well, let's move on then. A new game with Catherine.
If
yes.
there is something
Thank
you
wanted
Matthew. Please just write in chat. If so, there is something that... Which Catherine? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. Any questions? Can you raise your hand if you have a question? So Agnieszka can unmute you and we can see if we can answer you. See 2 participants raise their hand.
Yes. Let me just catch you.
And it's quite a long list of participants. So thank you for being a little bit patient with us. Yeah.
To the top, to come back to top. Oh, okay. Jessica?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. My question is about the psychological safety and the types of games that you choose. And I wonder, of course, you identified in the beginning the importance and the necessity of having the psychological safety there to be able to create trust and that people are comfortable and can learn.
Yeah.
And I think with some games, they might be more risky, let's say, than others. So do you have kind of guidelines for yourself about how you choose games and when and where you place them in the context of your trainings based on thinking about psychological safety?
Yes. Thank you for that question. Yes, absolutely, I do. I think about who are the people that I have in my session. Do they have a lot of experience with technology? Do they have experience with online training? Some people might have been in more sessions with me before, so I know already what they can do and what they are used to doing. And then I have more information. If I don't have a lot of information, then I don't try very challenging games because of that safety. If people get into an overwhelm, they won't be able to learn anymore or open up. So I tend to choose the safe side for that. But if you have, for example, a group of trainers, a lot of times, you know, they're used to very different kinds of tools and open to creativity, and yeah, then I make it a bit more creative or a bit more difficult game or more competitive. Also thinking about the job functions, sometimes having engineers, for example, as opposed to salespeople or as opposed to financial people, that would also make an impact on the game that I choose.
We have, in the meantime, I'm trying to allow Catherine to talk. We also have a question of, have you ever had a situation where games didn't fit at all? That's via chat. So maybe.
No, I can't say I have had a situation where the game really didn't fit. And I think that's because I tend to choose on the safe side.
Okay. Catherine, hopefully
now. Can you hear me?
On.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually a mistake when I raised my hand, but no worry. I just wanted to say that you may engage more easily some people who are more introvert thanks to a quiz or online quiz than in a room face to face. So that has also his advantages to be online.
Yeah, absolutely. More introvert, and also some cultures that tend to feel more comfortable by just writing on a screen or using the chat instead of speaking up. So also taking that into account, what are the people that I have in my group, and how do I make sure that they still feel comfortable? Yeah, very good point. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Okay, Dennis, and I will just comment on what's in the chat, that we have also comment on diversity icebreaker that can be used as a online tool. So far, it's possible. And we have comment from Vincent on psychological safety that runs through diversity, inclusion, belonging, and well-being.
Yep. And Dennis has a question for us, I think.
Is my voice coming? Yes, hello everyone.
Hello,
I had a question with regard to the number of participants and what works in the way of a game. Have you found that the smaller the group, the more intimate a group, or the larger the group, the more interesting the game? Group size is one variable. And then I also have a question with regard to a hierarchy. So if I'm working with people from a culture where people are very conscious of their hierarchical positions of other people, then there may be an unwillingness to be silly or playful or a little bit more intimate or non-conventional with other people because they're at a certain level. I find this particularly to be the case in France, where you wouldn't ask a secretary to play a game with someone who's a director or something. A high level of discomfort due to hierarchy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Dennis. And these are all questions that are important to think about when you think about your participants beforehand. You think about the size of the group, what would work well with such a group size. And in my experience, a game can be a lot of fun with 6 and can be a lot of fun with 200. But thinking about what works well for a small group and what works well for a big group. So hierarchy is another thing. Obviously, there are some cultures where there's not such a big difference within the hierarchy, so it would be easier. Holland, the Netherlands would be an example of that. And being a Belgian in the Netherlands, I know Belgium is a lot more difference in hierarchy than in the Netherlands, so I see a lot of difference there. So that would also be something, doing the Sillineng Qigong, for example, in a hierarchy, different atmosphere. I wouldn't recommend it. So thinking about that, and I see already a lot of things also on top of that in the chat. So that's really something what I would suggest when you choose the element. Think first about who is my group, which cultures do they come from, what is their experience with the topic, what's their experience online, what are they to each other, how well do they know each other. All these questions, the more information you have on your group, the better you can choose the element of fun that you use in your session. So and as I said before, if you think about that psychological safety, that you want to make sure that they are on the ice floe and not in the water, better choosing a little bit on the safe side than than doing something where people feel overwhelmed.
Let me just say that we have last 2 minutes of our meeting.
Okay.
The time runs fast when it's fun. So I see a lot of comments where you ask about some games available online. So maybe at least just final comments on that. And in the meantime, just to try to do a multitasking, I will launch a poll to gather your feedback. We would really appreciate to know what you think about our webinars. So please answer the questions and I will launch the poll.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Agnieszka. I see, talking about where to find games online, I have to say I don't usually look for games online. I just very simply think about the easy things like doing a puzzle or doing a game show. I think of examples of a board game that I've done, that I've played with my family, something that's directed at having fun, and then think about how can I use that to use the content. Really just thinking about the simple things, but then bringing the content of your session into it. And it doesn't really need to be the content as we did today. I just asked you about things about me, just as a fun activity, so that's also a possibility. And I want to invite you all, because I see you have many great ideas, and many people would want to be or interested in it. So if you want to add links to the chat for other people to look at, please feel free to do so. And I see a lot of thank yous. Thank you all. I really enjoyed having you all here. I really enjoyed playing the games with you all and having fun together online. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. And please join us in our next webinar that is coming. Thank you.
Really nice to see that you had fun. Thank you for sharing that. And